Hello, and welcome to Prompt 8 in the Stitch the Season Fabric Journal. This is our last official prompt. I'll have one more video that encompasses a few more things to add to the book and then the book assembly. It's kind of a complicated video, so this is the last fun video of the series. In today's video, we're going to make a fabric curtain. Now, I use ribbon and buttons to create this. It's another fun effect, something totally different to add to your textile work. And I can't wait to show you how I do it.
So we have the 5th prompt, the 6th prompt, the 7th prompt, and today we're working on the final page prompt here. So I'll remove this inside page since we don't need it, and we'll just be working on this one. So as usual, I'll remove all the goodies here so that they're not being flopped around. And now I want to work on this page. This is a fun prompt. We're going to make a ribbon curtain on this page using all those beautiful ribbons and trims. Now let me show you how I do it. Please modify this according to the size of your book and the size of the supplies that you're using. So for this one, I have my fabric liner here, and I'm just going to stitch that just down right in the center of the page. I've already pressed the edges just so it has a neat edge. And then I took another piece of that matching fabric, and I chose that fabric so it wouldn't really stand out. I pressed it in half, and now I'm just going to stitch around 2 of the sides, and then I'll turn it right side out and then stitch down the other side so that I'll have like a little cushion, really. I'm not filling it with anything. I'm just using this for reinforcement for this page. Ultimately, it'll be approximately the length of this page and maybe 1.5 to 2 inches tall. And I'll show you how that looks before we start the next stage. So here I've pressed it open and I have that little pillow here that I'm going to work on. I'm going to attach my work to the pillow and then I'll stitch the pillow down to the page. So I'll set this aside for now. Now to create the curtain, I'm using 5 buttons. This will vary depending on the size of your buttons and how much of this you want to fill. So roughly, I'm just going to set the buttons down for now, and I can always move them around later. So I think 5 is a good number. I could always space them out a little too if I wanted. The other thing you want is I chose 5 ribbons that coordinate with my buttons. So by coordinate, I mean I have a piece of lace here, similar color family, I should say, to that button. I have 2 ribbons with green in them to match the green, and 2 ribbons with red in them. Now you can use all the same ribbon, and you could use something other than buttons, and you can certainly use more or less as the situation dictates. Now from here, I'm going to take my ribbon and cut each one approximately double the size of the length of this page. When I put my ultimate topping here, my little like curtain rod, we'll call it, I want my curtain to hang just to the end of this fabric. You can go shorter or longer, however you like. So I'm just going to clip. So I have one piece here. Might be a little longer than I'm going to use, but I'm kind of happy with that length. But I'll use this as a guide and cut all my ribbons to this length. So once I have that done, I can start attaching it to my little piece up here. So I'll remove this part of the page for now. And now for the start of the curtain, I want to create the layout that I like. So that just means putting the buttons in the color scheme or the order that I like. They don't have to be a straight line, although they certainly can. You can modify it, you can move it around. I kind of like it moved around just slightly. I think I want that one up top. I kind of like that. And so now I'm going to take each of the ribbons and I'm either going to fold it in half or cut them and then tack them underneath the corresponding color button. Now, if you want to shake it up and put green ribbon underneath the red button, go right ahead. This is where you make it personal. On some ribbons, if you fold them, you'll see different effects based on the ribbon. So here I have the top stitching and here I have the bottom. If you want both the same effect, like I do here, I'll just take my scissors and cut that ribbon right in half. And this way I can just kind of hide the fact that the ribbon's not folded. It's just placed underneath the piece here. And then I'll stitch it into position. Same thing with this one. If I fold this ribbon because it's printed, or this one, I'll get that effect. But by cutting it, I get that neat look. Now with the lace, it's a little different because the lace has one side different than the other. So if that's something that I want to have the symmetrical look, I'll cut it in half, and you make those decisions. After you have all your pieces cut, you can see how they look and decide which ribbon goes where. And if you want to move it around, perhaps it's too heavy here. Now looking at it here, I think it's a little heavy with all the colors and then the plain color on the end. So I think I'll swap that around. And this way I have a pattern here, a pattern here. So now the next stage is to start attaching them. I like to start with my center button. So this is where I'm going to start with my button. I'm going to flip my lace, cut it so that I can have a symmetrical image, and then I hold that together. You can pin it if you want. You can even add a little dab of glue if you'd like. So here I have my ribbon right in the center. I'll start by coming in from the background and just stitching a couple of stitches to hold that ribbon in place. You can even make a plus sign. That will be enough to anchor in place for the next step. And from here, I'll just put my button down and sew that button into place. And then I'll knot it on the back when I'm happy with how it looks. And then from here, I'll work my way out, deciding if I want to alter the buttons position-wise or however I want to do it. So I'll stitch them all down onto this little curtain rod here, and then we'll start the next step. So I stitched all my buttons and ribbons down to my little curtain, and I stitched this to my page. So now I'm ready to attach it. So I just want to stitch it like that, and I'm going to hand stitch just around the edge of this little, what I call the curtain rod here. And then we'll come back and trim and decide if we want to tack down any of these little ribbons. So now this entire panel is stitched down, and I did make a couple of stitches, just very small little stitches, you can barely see them, just to hold the ends of the ribbons down. I didn't do it on this one, but I did it on this one. You can see where if I pull up, it only pulls up to a certain point. And now I want to just trim the ends of this ribbon. You can leave them all the same length. You can vary the length. I like to make little tails on the ribbon. So I'll take the ribbon, just fold it in half, and snip. And I'll do that on all of them. So there, I completed my finished page.
So that's the last prompt in the Stitch the Season journal. I think it's a really beautiful book, and it's coming along so nicely. We'll have one more prompt / video of assembly, and then I'll show you my final work. In the final video, where I show the completed book, I'll show any changes that I made along the way, as well as different techniques and different little items that I'm going to add to the journal, and those videos will be forthcoming in December. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining me today.